Listen, as I said from the very beginning, like I don't have any issue with Live. The issue I had with Live, and I've said it for day one. Like, for them to come in and say this is going to be the future of the game of golf, team aspect, 54 hole shotgun start. This is the future of the game of golf. I just called BS on it, I called some of the players out for wanting to say they wanted to play less, which wasn't. Some of them isn't true, and I know who they are, and I knew they would want to play more than just 14, 15 times a year. So, but I don't fault them for taking money or anything. But
another duly noted podcast comes to you from the Meldon Law Studios at the Hacienda. Okay, welcome into another duly noted podcast. As always, brought to you by our good friends at Titan MRI and Imaging, and coming to you from the Meldon Law Dooley Dome Gator Studio here at the house. We have a great show for you today. We're going to be joined by the legend, Billy Horschel, my man Billy Ho, who, of course, has been dealing with injuries and now is back playing, and he'll give us an update on that, and he'll also talk some Gator football as well, believe me. Coach Spurrier on Monday, as always, and then Tony Barnhart will join us we're going to do a Wednesday show because of Thanksgiving, obviously, and everybody wants to enjoy Thanksgiving, and I got to go out of town for Thanksgiving. But Wednesday, we're going to do a show with Tony Barnhart. He is wrapping up his farewell tour as he's retiring, and he's writing a book about it and everything, and he's gone to all the schools. So that'll be a fun visit with Tony B. We always love talking to Mr. College Football. All right, let's get to our Royal Blue starting five. It is brought to you by Randy Royal over at Royal Blue Yacht Sales. He does a great job over there. The only place to go when you need a boat is Royal Blue. Let's get to number one on our Royal Blue starting five, and that is Florida's playing Tennessee this weekend. I know you're aware of it. It's so funny because when they flash it up, as being a big deal on ESPN, and I'm like, in fact, somebody was saying somebody was doing a basketball game, I think it was yesterday, and they were going, that's an undervalued rivalry there, or Florida, Tennessee. And I'm like, what are you talking about? It was the biggest rivalry in sports in the 90s. It was huge. And it's been huge since then at many times. But the fact that Florida usually beats them is a factor as well. But that's not the point. The point is, what is Florida playing for? They aren't going to a bowl. They're not going anywhere. Some guys are going places, but that's the weird thing, and that is a mystery. And I don't want to accuse anybody of anything. Here, all I'm going to say are the facts. And that is that at least 3 times that I can think of this year, Florida has brought a player to Monday interviews, and then that player has been declared put on the injury list and doesn't play. Something happens on that Tuesday practice, I guess. But now it's George Gums is having surgery on his knee. They say he could be back for FSU. Do you really think he's going to come back for the FSU game? I know you and I all want to go and beat FSU here at home. You want to protect the home turf. You don't want them digging up your turf, all that stuff and everything. But, I made this joke to the quarterback club Tuesday night. I said, yeah, Florida, FSU, that game has been announced. It's going to be on the History Channel because that's all they have is history. They don't have anything present right now. Anyway, I'm going off on a tangent, but it just is mysterious how Florida gets so many guys hurt. Is it the way they train? Is it the way they practice? Is it that maybe these guys are like, I could play through this, but we're not going anywhere. I might as well get surgery. Is it, I want to make sure that I'm 100% when I go to my next school? I don't know, and I'm not around it, so I'm not going to say that any of those things are true. But it just feels like a lot. They've got 12 guys listed as out, and they're all pretty good players. Really good players in some cases. I think Jacoby Jackson may be saying, hey, look, I could play, but I want to go ahead and keep my red shirt intact. I think there are a lot of guys like that, and they're looking at it. This is the business of what college football has become, and we have to deal with it. I just wanted to get off on that rant because it feels like a lot. I did mention this to somebody the other day. It was actually to Zach Alvaverdi. We were talking about it, and he said, I thought the same thing, and then I went and looked at a bunch of other ones, like in the Big Ten and the ACC, and there are other schools that have the same problem. And I'm like, well, maybe they do have the same problem. Maybe they're taking the wrong nutrients or what. I don't know. I don't know, but I want to. I don't. It just feels like of all the things that have gone wrong this year, the one that doesn't get a lot of attention is that they've had so many injuries. Everybody going into the season, all they were worried about was DJ Lagway getting hurt. That is all anybody cared about. Oh, DJ can't get hurt. We're in trouble if DJ gets hurt. One game into the season, like, I think maybe Tramel Jones, who is actually on the injury report now too. I think Tramel Jones should be the starter, and then it is what it is. But by the way, just to give you the spread, spreads are courtesy of mybookie.ag. It opened at 4.5, or I'm sorry, at 3.5, went down up to 4.5, which is a big move, full point move, and it went up really quick. And now it's back down to 4. I just look, Tennessee is leading the second in the nation, I think, in defensive touchdowns, and offensively they lead in the SEC in every category. Joey Aguilar will throw some picks. He's thrown 10 picks. They're going to try to run the ball. They got 3 different running backs they put in there. They got a good team. They're not a great team. They're certainly not an elite team, but they're a good team. They haven't really beaten good teams this year. They've lost some tough games to them, but they're very good. Florida's got to play at a high level and to win this game. They need to do what they've done the last couple of weeks, which is not make a lot of penalties. They need to do something different, which is not turn the ball over and not throw interceptions. But I don't know where, we got the 17th sellout. Again, we've talked about this before. A sellout at Florida is different than it is some places, but there will be a lot of empty seats. And again, Ticketmaster and StubHub and all those buy up a lot of seats thinking they can sell them. Probably thinking the Florida-Tennessee game, we're going to buy a ton of seats because that's going to be huge, and now it's nothing. So that those seats go unused sometimes, and so you get a lot of empty seats. But anyway, it's still listed as a sellout. I can only go by that. I think the crowd will be into it. Look, there's nobody to boo anymore. You got rid of the coach. He's gone. There's nobody to boo. So just go get the job done. Cheer for your cheer. This is your next to last chance, penultimate chance to go and root for your team and tailgate and see friends. And you probably won't see these people after next week for another 9 months. So go enjoy it. And please do. I know my wife's going. She's going to have a great time. All right. Let's move to number 2 on our Royal Blue starting 5. And that is this whole Kiffin saga, which just keeps taking weirder turns left and right. And I know there are a lot of people out there going, we need a decision. And it's like it's your life. It's not your life. It's his life, okay? Your life is whatever he does is going to affect you. I get that. It's going to affect everybody. It's going to affect me. It certainly is going to affect everybody who's a Gator fan. But whatever he does, he does. I am so concerned, I think, that the Gator Nation is going to lose its mind if he goes to LSU or stays at Ole Miss or says, all along I was planning on going to the Titans or something. I don't know. Whatever he does, he does. And don't hold it against him. He's got to make a decision for him and his family. Now, all this crazy stuff that's been going on, the plane coming into Gainesville, the Lane Kiffin's ex-wife, Layla, who I actually served us at an Outback one time, which is pretty cool. And his son, Knox, apparently met with Mark Whittemore, the coach at Buell's. or assistant coach. Is he a head coach now still? Or I know he left for a while and then came back. Anyway, he is Mr. Buchholz. We know that. So they also had a plane to LSU. A lot of this is the master puppeteer right here. Jimmy Sexton going, here's what we'll do. We'll have you send family to both places. That's going to leverage them against each other and against Ole Miss. Oh, this is perfect. And you can't come out and say you're happy at Ole Miss. You're going to stay here forever. You can't do that. You gotta just keep them guessing. Well, there's no ultimatum. Well, maybe there is, but we just want to know. They want to know too. In Oxford, they're trying to win a championship. Look, it's the way the calendar is. It's messed up. We all know that. And then we have this whole John Sumrall story, which kind of came out of left field, where John Sumrall, it's reported on 3, I had the story, that John Sumrall's meeting with Florida. Wow, people start losing their minds. Next thing you know, John Sumrall says, I'm not meeting with Florida. There is no meeting. Well, he canceled it because he didn't want the word to get out. He wanted to keep it quiet. And I know that Scott Strickland probably wanted to keep it quiet. Look, I know Florida still wants Kiffin the most, but they got to have another guy. They got to have somebody in mind. This is a national search, right? So you're going to talk to other people. And I know they've got a season going. They've got a chance to make the playoffs. Nobody's talking about what will happen if John Sumrall has to walk away from that job while they're in the playoffs, because you know they're not going to win maybe one game. I don't even know if they could win one. If they get in, they're not even assured in. Ole Miss is in. We know that. It just keeps getting weirder and weirder every day. But that is what coaching searches are about. I don't miss that part of my job. Usually, I would have called Scott Strickland 4 times a day, every day, for the last few weeks. And of course, gotten the same answer, which is it's going to take time. We'll get it figured out. But now I can just sit back and watch it and just watch everybody butting heads and getting mad at each other. And it's crazy. But that's what coaching searches are. They are tracking planes and doing all that. It is what it is. We'll see what happens. Maybe next week we'll find out. And whatever happens, guys, Florida's going to end up having a head football coach, okay? He will be male. I know that. He will be somebody who's won somewhere. It may not be your first choice, but if it's not, you still got to support him, right? You're cheering for the laundry. That's the bottom line. Don't try to run out the new guy as soon as he gets here. Don't fire RonZook.com. Don't do that on him. Okay. Anyway. All right. Let's get to number 3 on our Royal Blue starting 5, and that is continuing with the coaching carousel. Of course, James Franklin takes a job at Virginia Tech. That is a great hire because he will make you better than you've been in a long time, Virginia Tech. Can he take you to the mountaintop? Of course not. I don't think if he couldn't do it at Penn State, I don't know how he's going to do it at Virginia Tech. However, he can leave you with a better program than he is inheriting, and it's not a great program at all right now. It's just they don't have the players. Is part of the problem. Is he going to get you to the mountaintop? No, because by the time he's getting close to the mountaintop, he is going to bolt for another better job. Virginia Tech is a good job. It's not a great job by any means. I love all their fan base. I love the stadium. Everything is really nice about it. It's good, and they're putting more and more money to it. But it's not a glamour job. It's not, a destination job, unless you're Frank Beamer, I guess. So we'll see what happens there. Meanwhile, Sark says, "Look, I'm not going anywhere," and you would say, well, that's it. He's staying at Texas for sure, which I believe he is. However, don't forget his mentor is Nick Saban, who said, I am not going to be the coach at Alabama, and 2 days later took the job. Remember that. So that's part of it. And then there's a lot of these jobs. Like I saw where Oklahoma State here's the latest on their hire, who they're gonna may hire, and I'm like, oh, these poor guys have been dealing with this for longer than anybody because Gundy was like 3 weeks in, right, when he got fired. Penn State, they talk about Clark Lee and everything. I don't know that he would leave for Penn State, but I would if I was him. I think it's a better job. The coaching carousel has been interesting. The funny thing about it is now we're at a point where nobody's firing their coaches because the guys that the schools that are out there with openings are big time schools like Penn State, Florida, Auburn, and LSU. I would go with, and could be Ole Miss too. So you got that, and you don't want to get into that cycle, and you've got all these massive buyouts like with Norvell and Stoops. You're just going to stay with them. Stay with them another year. Wait for the next cycle. Maybe it won't be as serious. But that's going to be the interesting thing to follow because there weren't a lot of coaches fired last year, and I didn't think there would be any this year because of the $20 million per school house settlement. But that said, I've talked about this before. I was dead wrong, and now we'll just see what it's like next year. Is it going to be the same way next year? Wow. I don't know. That's too much for I think the media boys to handle. All right, let's get to number 4 on our Royal Blue starting 5, and that is that the college football playoff reveal. The latest reveal came out Tuesday. Texas appears to be in trouble. I don't know. Even if they beat A&M in the last game of the year, I don't know if they're going to get in. Now, this is where the committee is going to show that it doesn't. It's got a set of rules, and they can just apply whatever one they want. I haven't liked a lot of the reveals, and I look at them and I go, that's ridiculous. That's like that. But we'll see. But Texas appears like they are in trouble. They need some people to lose ahead of them, even if they beat A&M, which would be certainly a huge win. Now we mentioned Tulane. Looks like as of now, they are the lead dog in the group of 5. But we'll see how that holds up. That changes every week. Alabama, I don't know. They're sitting there going, I don't know. We certainly got to beat Auburn, but there's also going to be the who gets into the SEC championship game. Do they hold it? They said they're not going to hold it against you if you lose in the title game, but in a way, maybe they should. Like if you get a 3-loss team into the ACC tournament and they lose, ATC championship and they lose, I mean, hold that against them. Anyway, we'll see how it all works out, but it's certainly been fascinating. And finally, number 5 on our Royal Blue starting 5, wanted to mention Florida basketball. I know they play Merrimack on Friday night, 7 o'clock. It's sold out. There's 2 reasons. One is a lot of people in town for the football game. And 2, obviously, is because they're giving out rings. And they're giving rings. Meldon Law, we had Jeffrey Meldon on the other day to talk about it. But Meldon Law is giving away replica rings to everybody that shows up, 10,000 of them. So that's pretty cool. I need to get one of those. And if you didn't see what they did for the guys that have gone that are in the NBA, I saw the one with Walter Clayton. I saw the one with Will Richard. It was really cool. They were in Orlando, and walk Todd Golden and Carlin Hartman to give him his ring. And what a moment that was for him to feel that. And they showed a little highlight reel. And Steve Kerr is a good dude, man. That's one reason I like Golden State. I like that guy. But they're my team. Unfortunately, they lost, I think, that night. I think they lost again last night. But anyway, it's a really cool moment. Merrimack's not any good. They're 1-3. I think they played last night, and I didn't look the score up. Just assume that they lost because they're not very good. But that's just one and then after that, man, it gets serious for Florida basketball. They got to go to San Diego for a tournament, play 2 games there. They've got UConn, they've got Duke. Whoo, boy. And then it softens back up, and then you go into the SEC. So we'll see how it goes, man. Hey, look, I've got no problem with the way this team is playing so far. I know that that they've had too many turnovers, and I've been critical of Condon's turnovers, been really bad. And they haven't shot well. We all know that. But I think all those things will come around. They got good coaches. They got a good head coach, okay? All right. That is going to do it for our Royal Blue starting five. I do want to mention again, and I am going to mention this a lot because I really want to encourage people to go to patreon.com/Dooley Noted. That's where a lot of my stuff is going to be. I'm writing more than ever because I'm not doing radio anymore. So I'm writing a lot of stuff. I'm doing the back nine there, the grading the Gators there. I'm doing lists there. I did a list on the 5 reasons Lane Kiffin should come to Gainesville instead of Baton Rouge. That's up on there. You can get a free trial. I only charge $5 a month for the paid members. If you get a free trial, look at it. If you don't like it, hey, get out. I understand. I'm not for everybody. I'm an acquired taste. But anyway, Patreon, P-A-T, just remember the Pat, P-A-T, REON.com/Dooley Noted. Or if you just go to patreon.com and type in Dooley, you'll find it. Okay? All right. That's the last time I'm going to plug that today. I'm just trying to get it up. I'm doing pretty good on it. I love it. I love seeing that people are still interested in what I've got to say. And I have a lot to say. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, the great Billy Horschel is going to join us. He will we'll talk about his future in golf and talk about the Live Tour and all that kind of stuff. It is another Dooley Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI and Imaging, coming to you from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. We'll be right back after this break.
Coach, it always impressed me how you beat Florida State to win the 1996 National Championship.
And I was really impressed with your 06, 08, and 09 Gator teams.
And the way you coached Danny to the Heisman Trophy.
A lot like what you did with Tim Tebow.
You know, you won more SEC championships than you lost home games at the Swamp.
And you had plenty of super games in front of our Gator Nation.
Yeah, there really is something special about the Swamp.
I guess that's why we say about the Swamp, only the Gators get out alive.
To the Swamp and the Gators, with the best beverage served at Spur's Gridiron Grill, 100% agave, Los Landeros tequila, aged in bourbon barrels for a smoother taste.
I think you mean head beer coach, 1966 lager, a crisp, light, bodied lager for easy drinking.
Nope. Los Landeros tequila, smooth enough to drink neat and bold enough to elevate a cocktail.
1966 lager, enjoyed on game days in the fall or whenever you need a winning cold brew.
Los Landeros tequila.
1966 lager.
Los Landeros.
1966 lager.
Y'all stop bickering.
Okay, you're both wrong anyway. The best thing Spurrier's Gridiron Grill offers are Jerry's famous chocolate chip cookies.
Hey Gator fans, the holidays are here, and you know what that means. Great food everywhere. Pies, cookies, all the food we just can't resist. But here's the thing, you don't have to give it all up to lose weight and be healthy this holiday season. BMI TeleMed can help you enjoy the holidays and keep your weight on track. Their medical weight loss program gives you the medication and the support and the guidance you need. You can still enjoy the holiday food, you'll just eat less of it. So you can actually lose weight and not add the pounds most of us do this time of year. Start the new year ahead of the game. Visit our friends and Gator alums, Charlie Gonzalez and Bob Parado, at bmitelemed.com to learn more. That's BMI TeleMed, achieve and maintain.
Meldon Law has been serving personal injury victims since 1971. In those days, Jeffrey Meldon's presence as an attorney in the music scene dubbed him with the nickname the Hippie Attorney. And although times have changed, two things haven't. Our commitment to bettering our community by helping the injured.
Albert, are you ready to go to the game?
And our love for the Florida Gators.
If you bleed orange and blue, Meldon Law is the firm for you.
Okay, welcome back to another Dooley Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI and Imaging, coming to you from the Meldon Law Dooley Dome Gator Studios. It is a great pleasure to bring on our guest today, the great Billy Horschel. We have not seen a whole lot of him lately, and it's really bothering me because I that's what I do. I follow Billy on the tour, and of course he's had hip surgery, and now he's back playing again. And that's the first thing I want to ask you, Billy. First of all, thanks for coming on. And how is the hip, and where are you on? I know you played in a couple of tournaments. Where are you in your mind?
Yeah, the hip feels really good. It's I think about 7 months now since surgery, and I think I played the second week of September, which is 4 months after surgery, which was pretty fast. I wanted to play the event over in Europe. I had won the previous year. I wanted to defend. So since that time to where I played last was Utah about 3 weeks ago, a month ago. It's the hips in a hell of a lot better position. It's a lot stronger. It's a lot more explosive. But it's fully healthy now. Now it's just getting back of getting reps. All the reps I lost of the game of golf, of being out and not swinging, and just getting a little more consistent from here until the end of the year, till we start the new season in 26 down in Hawaii.
Yeah, didn't you finish like tied for 11th in that tournament out there in Utah?
I did. I played really good. I had a really bad first day. I had for the tournament. I had two double bogeys and a snowman. So you take those out of the equation, it's even a better tournament. But it was nice to see the game sort of show some life. I had seen some stuff, in the previous events, and I had seen some stuff in practice. But I was waiting for it to come together a little bit better, and it was really the first event, that Utah event, that I felt like the game was close. I felt close to 100%. I felt like I had the ability to compete and to play well.
Yeah, that's next time I make an 8 on a hole, I say I'm at a Horschel.
Exactly.
And I know you do want to talk a little bit about this as well, but since Billy Napier was a football coach here, now it's Billy Gonzalez, I thought maybe you'd be the next guy to come in here and take the job. Another Billy.
It was it's weird to say that. I don't know if it's ever happened before in college football, even NFL, where the guy who replaced the head coach had the same first name. So, listen, Billy Gonzalez is a great person and a great coach, and he was really great to me when Dan Mullen was a coach. I would come over to practices, and he was great to me. So, yeah, it's weird to see a Billy, head coach and replace them. So that's an oddity, and I don't think it was funny. We were watching the game the other night, and as any fan and any quarterback couch coach, whatever that term's called. One of my kids looked at me. He's like, "Why don't you be the head coach?" I'm like, "I do not have anywhere close enough knowledge of being a head coach of any football program, let alone a college program." So yeah, my name and Billy, we just have to, with the other two Billys, just share that together.
Yep. Billy the Kid. You can put him in
Yeah,
there.
exactly.
Well, but you couldn't do worse than 3-7. I think you could find a way to win 3 games at this point, and that is very frustrating for all of us, to be going through this. And I know that you're aware of this, but this will be the 6th losing season for Florida football in the last 13 years. And I had Urban on the podcast Monday, and he was like, I asked him, could you ever foresee this? And of course, what he left behind was a little bit better than that.
Yeah. Urban and I played golf about a month ago, and actually we played golf today. Billy got fired. That it was announced, and so we talked about the program a lot, and he still cares tremendously about the Florida Gators. And usually, whenever I see him or we text, it's pretty much the first thing we talk about within the first 30 seconds. So, I could never imagine. Still, having the losing records that we've had. You look at the talent on this team. I think Billy Napier did a really good job putting together talent. And at the end of the day, though, you got to develop that talent. You got to make them winners. And Billy didn't do that very well. You can't beat around the bush on that. It's just a straight fact. So, yeah, it's frustrating to see that we're 3-7. I think you look at the Georgia game, you look at that Ole Miss game. Those are games we could have easily won. And if you're looking at it from anybody's perspective, obviously from the Gator or as Florida Gators perspective, really I think it's tough to say because you don't want to always, point out one person, but DJ Lagway missing some throws in that Georgia game. I mean, there's probably 5, 6 throws that he missed that are clear throws that a quarterback of his caliber or anybody's caliber are making on anyone of a regular, consistent basis. And then, just some decisions and throws he missed in that Ole Miss game as well. So it's frustrating to see as a fan that, if our quarterback play could have been at a higher level, more consistent level, maybe we're not 3-7. We're in a better position than where we've been. But listen, we haven't been good the last, like you said, 6 losing seasons and 13 seasons. I mean, that's just unacceptable for Florida football. Even the bad days with Ron Zook and those days, it was still we still weren't in that.
Still winning 8 games. Yeah,
correct. And listen, college football's changed in those 20 years plus, but we're still the University of Florida. We still produce tremendous talent and recruit tremendous talent. And, we need to find someone that is the ability to take the players to the level that we all expect of a Steve Spurrier or Urban Meyer. Get these players to buy in and win and play hard for 60 minutes.
Well, I mean, what it's like being on the tour, and you had to learn how to win, and that's what I don't think is in the DNA of these guys, that they just don't know how to win games. They need somebody to come in and teach them how to win games, and that's what you had to go through on the tour. I mean, there were times that I would send you texts going, "Everything's going to be okay, buddy. Just breathe. Go get this done," but now you obviously know how to win, and you've won 8 times on tour, so and done really well.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Listen, I think when you go to one level to the next level, you have to figure out how to win at golf tournaments. Obviously, winning at a lower level or being successful at a lower level doesn't guarantee you success at the next level. And so, it takes your time, and you got to learn, you got to understand, what were the mistakes we made? What were we feeling? Why do we do this? So next time you're in that position, you've learned those, you don't make those same mistakes over and over. And obviously in college football, you got guys coming in every year, every 4 or 5 years, you're replacing, you're turning over the players. But really, when you look at that team, and with all the talent we have and everything, you can't point to, a handful of players that are, they are winners, but that know how to win games, that have done it. And guys can teach these younger players coming in. We just don't have those guys. And it's unfortunate. And it's not, obviously everyone plays a part into losing and winning. And it's not solely on the players' fault, but we just don't have the players there to help teach younger players, what needs to be done and how to get through, the gauntlet to win those close tight games. And that's just the frustrating thing, because I mean, we've had so many of them in the last couple of years that, whether it be play calling or just, missed assignments or, whatever it may be, it's just frustrating to see some of the same mistakes made over and over.
You have intel on people. You're pretty smart. You got connections. What's your thought on Lane Kiffin, whether he'll end up here or LSU or stay in Oxford?
I've stayed out of that whole discussion a lot. I think 17 years on the PGA Tour, and really, obviously, I love the PGA Tour and being part of our player advisory committee and everything, and really being the nuts and bolts of things for a long time. I've just realized over the last couple of years, I still care, but I don't need to be, in the thick of things anymore. And so it's sort of the same thing with this whole coaching search with Lane Kiffin. Obviously, there's people I know and I do have conversations with, but it's I'm not regularly, texting with people trying to figure out what's going on. But as I've told people, just when you look at Lane Kiffin, why would he choose the University of Florida? I just say, listen, he's back with his ex-wife. His ex-wife's a University of Florida alum. Her dad played football at Florida. He's a Gator great. He talks about, their first state was in Gainesville. And then I didn't realize this ESPN article, I guess maybe it came out last year before the Ole Miss game. And he talked about how Gainesville was such a special place to him, all this other things. And then, you got the Steve Spurrier connection, and he coaches football for, he obviously his dad was a coach, but Steve Spurrier was his idol. He wanted to be like Steve Spurrier. That's why he wears a visor. So listen, if there was a case to be made of why he would choose Florida, there's a lot of reasons why Florida makes sense to him. And, I think he would be an awesome coach at the University of Florida. I think, as someone we joked about the other day, we're not, it doesn't guarantee if he comes to the University of Florida, we're going to win and win national titles. But there is one thing for sure. It's going to be one hell of an entertaining time with him here. It's going to go back to a little bit of Steve Spurrier days with some quotes and everything and some things he does. But yeah, I would love to see Lane Kiffin. I think he would do unbelievably well at the University of Florida. I think there's a lot of good things that Billy Napier did, in his tenure at Florida that Lane comes in and can sort of just, polish what Billy's done already and make us a winner, a regular winner, and back to where all Gator fans would love to see us continuing in the playoffs and for national titles and SEC championship games. So I hope Lane comes because I'm trying to figure out who, I have an idea who we could go for or who I would like to go for if Lane doesn't come. I think there's a case to be made that Lincoln Riley and his tenure at USC isn't successful, and with the changing landscapes of college football, USC isn't USC anymore. Even though they're in the Big Ten, they're just the way the TV market is and everything. You just don't hear about USC much anymore, and so I think Lincoln Riley would be maybe the second guy if I was in charge or had a say to be looking at it bringing, because he's got a proven track record of what he did at Oklahoma. And obviously I know he hasn't had this success at USC, but I don't think USC is what USC was 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah, it's like the 8th biggest story out there, right? In LA.
Mhm.
I mean, it is. By the way, I was going to tell you this story because I went to Outback one day with my wife, and I went there to eat, and the woman who was waiting on us had a name tag and it said Layla. And I go, "Oh, you must be a child of the 60s. And she goes, well, my dad was John Reeves. And I go, "Oh, it's Layla." Oh, so we got to know her, Layla, a little bit there. That was pretty cool. But she's obviously graduated to bigger and better things than working in Outback. But you talked about, though, how college football is changing. We all know college football has changed. Certainly the tour has changed drastically too, and all the stuff going on with LIV. Now they're going to 72 holes, which if they can get rid of the team thing and like and I'll turn it over there for a minute and I'm going, I have no idea what's going on in the tour. So I think that they're flawed in that way, but I'm still sticking with the PGA Tour. I love watching you guys play, but being part of this, what has it been like for you?
Oh man, it's could never imagine even 10 years ago having a competitor come into the marketplace. And I always said I think there could be the opportunity where a competitor would come into the marketplace and try to make a better version of the PGA Tour. I always thought that was a possibility, or I always suggested that as a possibility, the PGA Tour to continue to make changes, continue to improve, and not that they weren't. I just felt like they needed to do things in a little bit more of a, I wouldn't say a drastic way, but just be more on the forefront, more on the gas pedal of doing things where it really, prohibits a competitor coming in and trying to steal some of your marketplace. But listen, as I said from the very beginning, like I don't have any issue with Liv. The issue I had with Liv, and I've said it for day one, for them to come in and say this is going to be the future of the game of golf, team aspect, 54-hole shotgun start. This is the future of the game of golf. I just called BS on it, and I called some of the players out for wanting to say they wanted to play less, which wasn't. Some of them isn't true, and I know who they are, and I knew they would want to play more than just 14, 15 times a year. So, but I don't fault them for taking money or anything. But I just think that I think Liv could have. I'll tell you what, honestly, I do believe Liv, Piff, who is the financing behind Liv, the
Right.
Saudi investment fund. I do believe that they were given better guidance and. Someone who sort of people who saw the marketplace a little bit better. I do believe they could have been a true threat to the PGA Tour if they would have done things differently. They wouldn't create a team aspect, that they would have gone, played it out over a 5-6 year window and gone and try and buy the Asian Tour, build the Asian Tour up and challenge the European Tour, and then you kill the European tour with the success of the Asian tour, and then you have a tour that is truly global, that is truly challenging the PGA Tour, because you got Asia and Europe now, and then obviously it's tough to get Americans to leave America. Trust me. I mean, there's a lot of guys on the PGA Tour that don't care to play outside America, but the younger generation of players coming through could have seen Europe and Asia as a possible place to play with the financing of the money they're playing for. So I don't know how this is all going to play out at the end of the day. At the when you do look at it, though, Saudi's involved in everything in this world, from companies to sports to you name it. I mean, their hand is involved in everything. So I don't believe they're going to just close up shop and leave the PGA or leave the golf world. I think they're always going to be involved in the golf world, and I think from the PGA Tour side, we have to decide, do we figure out a way to sort of maybe reconcile or bring them in and have them be a partner, or do we still consider them to be a competitor and we both do our own thing? So that's what I think from the PGA Tour side we're trying to figure out now. And I think at the end of the day, listen, as a player and as wanting the PGA Tour to be the best for the next 30, 40, 50 years, the way it's been for 60 years, I do believe, for us to continue to be the leader in the professional game in the world, I do think maybe we should bring Saudi in as a small partner in some way and form, just because, it's tough to turn down, a $3 billion, investment into the PGA Tour if that's what the financing or the terms are still, mentioned and everything. So we'll see how it plays out. But I don't believe the PGA Tour. I think the PGA Tour will still win no matter what. I've always backed the PGA Tour for the sole fact that kids grow up wanting to be on the PGA Tour. Kids grow up wanting to challenge the best players in the world, and that's where they are. At least my generation, we wanted to beat Tiger. We wanted to play against Tiger, and that's what we wanted to do. Now kids are coming up and they're seeing Rory McIlroy, Scotty Scheffler. They want to play against those guys and see where they fall in line and what their skills are like, and can they win and put their name on trophies next to those guys. So that will always be the case, and I think the PGA Tour, as I've always said, will always win out and will always be the best. It's just a matter of do we have to have compete against another entity for the next 20 plus years.
Billy Horschel joining us on the Big Mills Cheesesteak Zoom line. I wanted to ask you about the job JC and Dudley have done with this golf team, and of course I watched them in East Lake, and that was probably cool to watch that, because you obviously did pretty well there too at East Lake. But yeah, I mean it is so much fun to, and now guys, you're not alone on the tour. You're not the only Gator out there. I mean, for a long time that's all we've had to root for is Billy Horschel, which we love doing, but we'd like to get more people out there, and now we're getting more and more out there, and that must be fun to have other Gators on the tour.
Yeah, it's nice. Let me tell you what, it's not great when there's only a couple of Gators out there, and then you look at the Georgia Bulldogs and they've got 11 or 12 guys out there, and listen, yeah. I get along with all the guys from Georgia, but when people start talking about, well, Georgia's got 12 guys out there this year on the PGA Tour, and you got this guy and that guy, like, as a Gator, you always want to be the best and have the most or win the most and everything. So yeah, it's nice to see guys like Ricky Castillo out there. You got Freddie Biondi just got his European Tour card. Quentin LeBeau just got his European Tour card. Obviously Camilo's still out there. Tyson Alexander was out there on tour for a couple of years. Hopefully he gets, and so you got Toasty out there. So yeah, it's nice to see more Gators, having, some success in the professional ranks that hopefully will ultimately project them and get them to the PGA Tour, is where, talk to them. That's where they want to be. So yeah, it's nice the job JC and Duds have done. They've, won a national title a couple of years ago, and then obviously the success that they've been able to carry on from that. They've got a lot of talent on that team, and they've been doing some good stuff down there. So it's great to see. Listen, the Gator golf program being, a truly a big time player year in, year out, in sense of winning SEC titles and winning national titles, and it just falls right in line with all the other sports that we have that are having ultimately tremendous success throughout all Gator athletics, and that's what I tell everyone when they say, "Well, your football team, you guys," when they just talk about football team, or the basketball team not doing well, and they think we're just a two-sport school. I'm like, guys, you just don't know about University of Florida. Like, look at all our other sports. We understand our two biggest ones are football and basketball, but the success that we've had from top to bottom, all our sports, there's not many of any other schools in the country that can say that.
I've been trying to figure out your hat. Is that an H for Horschel?
Yeah, it is. It's our logo for our Horschel Family Foundation. So yes.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
Oh, I need
Yeah.
to get one of those hats.
We'll send you one, Pat. We'll send you one, buddy.
Okay. Hey, it's time for us to play Yes, Nowhere, Maybe with Billy Horschel. Is brought to you by Big Mills Cheesesteak, street dining done the right way. If you go in there and say, hey, I heard Billy Horschel on another Dooley Noted podcast, you get free French fries with your order. So yes, nowhere, maybe, Billy. Number one, watching the Gators play was more painful this year than watching the Ryder Cup.
Yes. Yes.
At least we came back in the Ryder Cup.
Yeah, we did, but
I figured for you it was hard because you were in position to maybe make that team before you had to have the hip surgery.
yeah, I was probably in the best position I've ever been in my career to finally make a Ryder Cup team, and it wasn't. I was actually there Saturday morning to watch the morning session of the Ryder Cup. When the hip happened, I just realized golf wasn't gonna happen this year, and I just moved on from it. So, it sucks because you want to be out there, you want to compete. I want to be on a Ryder Cup team, but listen, I mean, I'm proud to be an American. I'm proud to be a Gator, but man, it sucks more to watch the Gators than it was for the Ryder Cup. So,
yeah, exactly. I feel the same way. Number two on Yes, Nowhere, Maybe with Billy Horschel, you have been to the Grant Seafood Festival in your lifetime.
yes, yes.
That's a big deal, I guess, right?
I grew up in Grant. Yeah, I grew up in Grant. It was a yearly thing, annual thing. It was always the last weekend of February, and we would go. And I've actually been a couple times now since I've graduated from college and everything. I've missed a couple cuts around that time down in West Palm, and so we would come back and stay either at my parents' house or near my uncle's house, and we wind up going to the Grant Seafood Festival.
Sweet. Is it pretty good in there?
Yeah, it's great. I mean, there's a whole bunch of food. There's a lot of music, bands playing and everything. So yeah, I mean, it's just an old tradition that's been going on, I think, for 40, 50, 60 years now. And it's just, it's nothing special. There's no glitz and glam, but it's just a fun way to people sort of hang out and catch up and have some good seafood.
Great stuff. Finally, number three on Yes, Nowhere, Maybe with Billy Horschel. One or more of your three children is obsessed with golf.
Yes.
Which one?
My son. My
Axel?
son is. Yeah, Axel. He is he's a sports he is a sports lover. I mean, if you want to know anything about stats or what a team's doing or players, it doesn't have to just do with golf. It talks about any sport. I mean, he'll tell you. And
he's not that old, though, is it? What's he like?
He's 6. He'll be 7 in February.
Yeah,
but I mean, he's on his iPad checking out ESPN, checking out scores, looking at stats. I mean, I started all the kids that had a fantasy football team or did fantasy football this year for the first time, and every day he's checking the fantasy stuff and checking stats and making teams, and he's actually looking after his older sister's teams and my wife's team. So no, he's a big sports guy, but he's a big golfer and he loves golf. And when people ask him what he wants to do when he gets older, he says he wants to play golf. So when it comes to golf, I've sort of let him tell me when he wants to go hit balls and this and that. I try not to push him or anything, but he does a whole bunch of other sports. He plays flag football, basketball, baseball. He's which I absolutely love. Baseball is my second sport I love. So it's cool to see, just not only him, but my other two kids, my two girls in the sports, and just see their enjoyment that they get out of their sports.
Well, athletic parents, that's what happens. They
get it all from their mom. I mean, that's they get it all from their mom.
Well, it'll be fun. And so when are you back out on tour? What's your next event?
So I'm going to play 2 events in December. I'm going to play the Tigers event down in Bahamas, the Hero World Challenge, and then I'm playing the week after down in Naples, the Grand Thornton Invitational. It's a mixed team event, so I'm playing with Andrea Lee from the LPGA Tour, who's a good friend. And then we'll have about a month off until we start the season back up out in Honolulu at the Sony Open, and from there it's full steam ahead. I mean, with the whole new signature events, which are the higher level events on the PGA Tour, and smaller fields, because of my injury, I'm not guaranteed those events just yet. So I have to play well at the beginning of the year. So right now my schedule, there's schedule A, schedule B, and schedule C. And there's one schedule where if I play really well, there's not many weeks I'm taking off for the first 4 months. So which, I'll be looking to find some, come up for it at some point in time if that happens. But yeah, excited to get back out there, excited to get back, competing and winning events, and hopefully, 25 I was so excited about 25 after coming off 24 and having a chance to win a couple majors. And then hopefully I thought 25 was going to be the year I win a major, I make the Ryder Cup team. And so the hip injury sort of derailed that, but it didn't kill the dream or kill the opportunity. And we're going to make sure that, I check those boxes off before the clubs go in the closet for good down the road.
No, I'm calling it. I'm calling it. You're going to win a major in the next 24 months.
I like that. I truly agree with you, Pat. I agree with that.
Well, good luck to you, and we appreciate you coming on the podcast. We always love talking to you, Billy. You know that, and I do want one of those hats. If you want,
we'll send you.
I'll send you a check for it.
No, you don't need to.
That hat is so cool. Yeah,
thank you. We'll send you one.
Okay, thanks a lot. We'll be back with more of another Dooley Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI and Imaging, coming to you from the Meldon Law Gator Zoom. I forgot what I was supposed to say there. I'll do it again, Zach. I'm sorry. We'll be back with more. We'll be back with more of another Dooley Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI and Imaging, coming to you from the Meldon Law Gator Studios right after this break. Here are just a few reasons why doing business with the Royal Blue puts you at the helm of your boating lifestyle. 1, the longer we have your listing, the lower percentage commissions you will pay. 2, survey reimbursement for qualified buyers. 3, detail reimbursement for qualified sellers. 4, on-the-water delivery orientation availability. Call us today to schedule a consultation to see what Royal Blue can do to solve all of your boating needs. Call Randy at 850-974-1294.
Titan MRI, North Central Florida's premier independent diagnostic testing MRI facility. At Titan MRI, we're focused on you, the patient, having a great customer experience. Our MRI equipment is modern and 75% quieter than any unit in its class. And our MRI unit has one of the largest openings of any of the newer high-strength MRI units, which allows comfortable scanning for potential claustrophobic and larger patients. At Titan MRI, we look forward to serving you.
Adams Rib Company has been a staple of Gainesville for more than a decade and a staple of the Dooley house ever since Kelsey's teeth came in. The first time I walked into Adams, I told my daughter that the green beans are always a test of a great barbecue restaurant, and they were perfect. You know about the ribs that melt in your mouth, and my favorite, the turkey plate. But be sure to go in on Fridays for Nana's Fish Nuggets. They will melt in your mouth. Adams Rib Co., a Gainesville great. Okay, welcome back to another Dooley Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI and Imaging, coming to you from the Meldon Law Gator Studio here at the Ponderosa. It is a great pleasure to bring in Chris Masters, who is the executive director of the Man Cave Health organization, which they're going to be out there at the Tennessee game on Saturday. Let's bring Chris on. Chris, what time do you guys start doing the prostate testing?
Yeah, so it's a simple blood test. We'll start doing those around 4:30 when FanFest opens up, and we'll run just about up till game time. So as all the fans start to flood towards the stadium and the swamp, they'll have the chance to get tested.
And we've talked about this before, Chris. I mean, I went through it. I was tested, but I didn't even know I was being tested, to be honest with you. And the doctor called me and said, "You've got a 17 PSA. We need to get you in some work going here." and had my prostate removed, which is a life-changing experience. However, it saved my life, and
Absolutely.
that's the thing. I mean, so many people, I think it's what's it, 1 in 8 people die of prostate cancer?
So it's 1 in 8 men will be
Yeah,
diagnosed,
men.
but
Well,
there is
women
a
aren't dying of prostate cancer.
yeah, and frankly, it's one of the most treatable. But I think you touched on something really important: is there's typically no symptoms.
You're
So if
right.
you're not doing the regular testing, the likelihood of you knowing you have prostate cancer and seeing that PSA elevate is unlikely that you would even know it. You may feel fine, but have this rising PSA.
Yeah, that's the thing. I had nothing. I was having some other issues, and that's why I got my physical. And so, but I think a lot of people, the famous scene in Fletch, Moon River, they worry about that, and they kind of get. To be honest with you, it's homophobia. We all know that, and so people don't like pink things being stuck in their butt. This isn't that. This is just
Correct.
taking your blood. It's not. It's very simple, and it allows you to find out, and then you can go and figure out. It may come back and it says you're fine, and then you don't have to worry about it. But you have to
Yeah.
get tested again at some point.
Yeah, I think it's important to note technology and advancement in technology medically has grown quite a bit. And I think we get stuck sometimes as grandfathers pass down to fathers who pass down to sons. Times have changed. So it starts with the simple blood test. And you know what? If you should know your PSA, we know the horsepower in our cars. We know how many rushing yards the running back did, good or bad. We know that. And it's like you should know your own PSA score, at least know your baseline. So then you can track it if it's going up or if it's staying where it's at. And everybody's different.
Yeah, but I know that some of it is genetic. My
Sure.
my grandfather died of prostate cancer. My dad had it, and luckily lived to 93 because he got it removed.
Sure.
Both of my brothers have had it. I've had it. That's as many men as I can think of. But and it's such, like you said, it is the most treatable, really, of all the cancers.
Totally.
In that all you have to do is get tested, find out where it is, and it could be radiation, could end up being seeds put in there, and
Sure.
now they've got a robotic surgery they can do, and it probably wouldn't be as intrusive as mine was 22 years
Sure.
ago, whatever it was.
Yeah, I think, Pat, that's the biggest thing. As much as the test is important, it's the education. Because not all options are the same, and not all options are going to be the ones that you consider. It really is independently all about you as an individual and where you're at. And again, if you catch it early, the survival rate over 5 years is like 99%. So
Right.
it's pretty like you just got to know though. If you don't know, you're not going to be able to treat it. So that's the encouragement part. Get tested.
Well, and that's the thing. It feels like about once a week I hear about somebody dying after a battle with prostate cancer, and I'm like, well,
Sure.
they probably didn't get tested until it was too late,
Sure.
and they couldn't do anything about it. But again, let everybody know where exactly you're going to be, and where you'll be doing that testing. And I know that you did really well last year with getting a lot of people tested.
We did. We're blessed with a great partner in UF Health, and they said
Yeah.
it was one of their most successful screening events that they'd done. And last year, they relaunched their mobile unit, which will be back this year. So just to be part of that with our other partner, the Prostate Cancer Foundation, which has raised more money than anybody else for prostate cancer research. It's a great team effort, and we're going to be right outside 430, that Stephen O'Connell Center. And we're going to be there up until game time. Free swag. We're going to have Coach Spurrier stop by again. Great partner of ours as well. And this whole thing, I've got to just tip my hat to a friend of mine, Chris Doring. I know a friend of yours.
Yep.
Chris and I have been friends for a long time. And when he invited us to be part of the Spurrier Awards, it really was opening the door to the Gainesville community and UF Health and University of Florida community. And I'll tell you, it has been open arms since then. And those partnerships have made this a successful second event coming up. It'll be a successful event.
Yeah, second one, and I'm sure there'll be a lot more. And it's
Absolutely.
It's great to see you, Chris, again, and good luck with this. And I hope everything goes well. I don't have to get tested anymore. Although I will
Exactly.
tell you this, I do get tested just to make sure, that it's not back.
Absolutely. I think that's the last thing, right? But it's men encouraging men. You've had the
Yeah.
prostate removed. However, there's a lot of men walking around right now with an elevated result and have no idea. So this type of platform that you're providing us to talk about it, to get awareness out, it's absolutely the best. So can't thank you enough. And again, just thankful for our partnership with UF Health and of course, Prostate Cancer Foundation.
Absolutely. Well, thanks so much for joining us, Chris. We appreciate it. And I'm encouraging every man out there to go up to that tent, give a little blood. It's not painful. I can tell you,
Absolutely.
maybe you're afraid of needles, but you can calm down about it.
And I tell them it takes them longer to fill out the paperwork than it will to get the test done. You'll get some cool Gator swag, get to meet Coach again if you haven't met him, and obviously see the mascots and all that stuff. It's going to be quite the experience.
It'll be great. It'll be great. Thanks again for joining us. Okay, well, we keep it going with Dr. Philip Koo, who is, of course, can tell you about prostate cancer and how it affects so many people. And this is a big deal to me. It's a big deal to everybody. I mean, as a survivor of this, as somebody who had a dad who's a survivor, two brothers who were survivors, it means a lot to us. And Dr. Koo, I know that this event is going to mean a lot to you as well, to get as many people tested, because it's all about the testing, isn't it? The awareness.
You're absolutely right. It's about awareness and it's really a team sport, getting everyone involved, aware that the earlier we detect prostate cancer, the better the chance of finding a cure, of getting cured. And if you detect it early enough, almost 100% of those men will be able to get cured, which is the goal. So it's a powerful message.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the thing. I think a lot of people just they don't want to hear about it, and they have no symptoms. They don't feel bad. So, we were talking to Chris about that. I mean, and that's the thing. I didn't have any either.
That's the beauty of screening. The idea of these screening tests are testing people when you're not symptomatic. And again, that's when you detect it early. I think as men, oftentimes we get busy, we think we're invincible, we're sort of in the prime of our careers or whatever it might be, and taking care of our own health goes on the back seat. We're taking care of others, we're doing all these other things, but we're trying to shift that narrative, just place a little bit more importance on your own health. Make sure you get tested, and while you're at it, you're going to get tested for a lot of other things, your cardiovascular health. If you need colonoscopy screening, all of that, because again, I think a healthy man is going to benefit so many other parts of society as well.
This is going to be a weird question. My last question for you, Doc, and that is, how do you think evolution evolved to get to where we have a prostate that is such a big issue? And is it just use? I mean, is it just, I've never been able to put my hands around that.
You have these different organs in your body, and the body itself is so complicated. And the prostate gland does serve a purpose. It helps in terms of semen production and reproductive health. So there is a purpose, but you're right. After a certain point, it may not serve as much importance in the body, but things can go wrong. And it kind of makes me think of like the appendix or other parts of the body that we don't really think about until things go bad. But unfortunately, things go bad. So we're here, but there's a solution, and we need to make sure we deliver on that solution.
Well, we appreciate all your hard work, buddy.
It's my pleasure. This is going to be my first SEC football game, so I'm very, very excited, and go Gators.
Well, yeah, we've been trying to say that for the whole year, but they haven't gone very far so far. But hey, it'll be a great atmosphere. I know you'll have a great time.
Absolutely. At the minimum, we're going to reach a lot of men. We're going to raise awareness, and it's going to help. It's going to help the community. So we're really excited.
Dr. Philip Koo, we appreciate you, buddy.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
All right, really want to thank Chris and Dr. Koo for coming on. It's an important cause for me, and it should be an important cause for you. Look, guys, it is very simple. Just go get your blood taken. They'll tell you whether you have a reason to go to your doctor or not. And they'll probably say, you're fine. Don't worry about it. it's better to know. But if you got prostate cancer, you need to get it treated in whatever way the doctor tells you to. Do it. Not for me, for you, for your family. All right. Let's get to our Hesser and Kipke 3 things. We always love our Hesser and Kipke 3 things for all your workers' compensation and family law needs. 352-339-9920 is the number to call, or www.hklawfl.com. Give Ken and Jennifer a call over there. Let's get to our 3 things. Number 1, and this is an all NFL 3 things because there's a lot of stuff going on in the NFL. You talk about injuries. I mean, the NFL, and again, we see this every year, though, and then every year somebody does. And goes back to my paranoia about Florida players getting hurt. Somebody does a story about why are more players, why are more running backs, why are more quarterbacks getting hurt? But it's pretty much the same every year. So number 1 on our Hesser and Kipke 3 things is Joe Burrow may be coming back. And you would say, well, why? You're 3-7. Aren't they 3-7? No, they're 1-7 since he got hurt his toe, I think against the Jaguars, wasn't it? So he's been out for 8 weeks, 1-7, but he's back practicing, full practice, mainly because Flacco's hurt, so he can't practice, but we'll see whether he comes back to play. And the NFL's a lot better with Joe Burrow, and it's more fun to watch. It's a reason to watch the Bengals. And he's the only one that gives it to you. Look, I didn't like Joe Burrow when he was at LSU because he was at LSU, but I like him in the pros. He's a very good player. Number 2, going back the other way on our Hesser and Kipke 3 things, and that is Michael Penix, DFY, done for the year. He has an ACL injury, another injury this is his 3rd ACL injury. Now, 2 of them were in college. He hurt his shoulder in college, broke his collarbone. He's been injury prone, but he's still a very talented guy. And this is a situation when you look at the Falcons where you sign Kirk Cousins this enormous contract, then you draft in the first round a quarterback, and everybody's like, what are you doing? Well, Penix, it turns out, is really good, and Cousins is awful, and doesn't, I think people at Minnesota could have told him that, but anyway, they're certainly in a tough situation. And Lamar Jackson back on the injury list with an ankle this time. You talk about injury prone. Now, guys who run the ball are injury prone. Anthony Richardson, injury prone. Smart players like Patrick Mahomes know when to slide, know when to get out of bounds. Don't take a right when they should take a left. But there's a lot of guys that get hurt that way. And look, it's a violent sport played by the greatest people at that sport. There's nobody even close. Nobody in college that can play that sport right away when they come out. They go fast. They are balls of muscle going 100 miles an hour. Did you see the story about Darnell Washington, who was just trucking people in the game, the tight end that was at Georgia and now he's at Pittsburgh? And he was on a podcast and they asked him how much he weighed. 311, he finally confessed to. 311 is running at you at enormous speeds with the ball. You're going to get guys hurt. It's just the way it is. So let's get to number 3, and that is a guy who's not hurt because the guy is hurt. He's starting, and that is Shedeur Sanders getting his start. And this is what a lot of people have been waiting for. We'll see how he does. I'm not rooting against him. I'm curious to see how it is. I tell you, I will say this. I have gotten in my old age where I root against people a lot less than I used to. I'm kind of just enveloping into a game. I'm watching a game. I was watching that South Carolina A&M game, and I was rooting for South Carolina. I want an upset, right? I don't care about who gets in. And then they get way ahead, and now I'm going to root for Texas A&M. So now I'm always going to root against FSU, you know that, and Kentucky basketball. But anyway, all right. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with Shedeur. That's our Hesser and Kipke 3 things. Let's move along to our BMI TeleMed Smart Move of the Week. And that is brought to you by our good friends at BMI TeleMed. Achieve and maintain with BMI TeleMed's weight loss specialists. 727-383-1677. It worked for me. It'll work for you. BMI TeleMed. Our smart move of the week is that the 1984 team is having another reunion. And now, for those of you who don't know the whole story, that 84 team was maybe one of Florida's best teams, if not the. You can argue it was the best team. It was a different time, and of course, they won the SEC. The first team to win the SEC. It was stripped away from them later. The trophy is still there somewhere. They know it's there. They just don't know. I'm convinced that it's like the Indiana Jones. It's protected by arrows and boulders and stuff, and nobody can get to it. But anyway, they finally recognized them last year, and that was really cool. Well, they had so much fun. They're having a reunion, and they're back doing it again, and they're having a golf tournament out at Ironwood. I'm going to play in that, and just it'd be great to see the guys again. Last year, seeing Galen was just so cool. My brother got his picture taken with him, in fact. So, it's going to be good, and I got good news for those guys. I talked to somebody who can get them some autograph sessions. It's all about the cash. All right. So that is our BMI TeleMed Smart Move of the Week. Let's get to our Adams Ribco Gator of the Week. Brought to you by our good friends at Adams Rib Company, the only place to go for barbecue. You can have ribs, you can have chicken, you can have beef, you can have whatever you want. And on Fridays, you can have those Nana's nuggets. They're tremendous. Melt in your mouth. Adams Ribco, the Gator of the Week. It is Trace Smack. Now, the Groza Award is meaningful to me for a lot of reasons. One is, I think whenever anybody gets up to kick, all I can see is a missing. No matter who it is, I can see a path to missing. I would never have been a good kicker, and I wasn't. No way, I never kicked. I tried to kick one time, and I accidentally kicked the guy in the face. So that's how good I was. But Trace Smack, and we talked about this with Judd the other day, that Trace Smack has, since that first game, hasn't missed a kick. And there have been a lot of big kicks. All the kicks he's made have meant something for the most part. And so it's not like he's going out there and just kicking them like that's the one reason it's hard to make Eddie Pinheiro the greatest Gator kicker ever. He might have been close. You can make him an argument, but he never kicked a big kick. There was never a kick that came down to the wire. Anyway, there were a lot of great kicks. So for Trace Smack to get on the semifinalist list for the Groza is an accomplishment. And congratulations to him for that. After I played golf with him, I know that he missed those two kicks, and I went, I rubbed off. The Dooley bad luck rubbed off on him, but since then he hasn't missed. So well done. All right, let's get to our Leonardo's at Millhopper quick pick. I did, Carlos, send you the hats. I sent you two, actually. And for our good friend Andy, I still don't have your address. I got to find your address, or else just send it to me. You win $50 at Leonardo's because Carlos decided he wanted to forward it to somebody who lived in town or near town. And so we are giving $50 to him. We're starting all over again. We started all over last week. Most of you picked Kentucky in that basketball game. You did not do well. I can just tell you that. We're giving you 2 games this week. Got to get them both right. How about that? We're going to make it hard on you this week. Got to get both of them right. Florida, Tennessee, you know the game's at the Swamp. It's -4 now. I wrote 4.5, but it's actually -4. It was 4.5 and it dropped. And then FSU at NC State. FSU is a -5. So FSU's a 5-point favorite. Tennessee's a 4-point favorite. Just pick the 2 winners. Just send Florida, Florida and NC State, or FSU and Tennessee. Whatever you want to do. Send it to patrickdooley54@gmail.com. Appreciate it. All right, it is time for us to get to this, that, and the other. We have a new sponsor on this, that, and the other as well. So we'll get to that new sponsor. But first, let's talk about Notary Joe. Notary Joe will be a mobile notary. That's a good way to put it. He's a mobile notary who will come to your house and do the notary work for you. 863-990-4884 if you want to get a hold of him. Joseph Newton does a great job and wish me a happy birthday too, and I appreciated that very much. It's brought to you by Dar Shakow Insurance. Dar Shakow Insurance for all your home, auto, commercial life needs. Dar Shakow Insurance, we appreciate them. And our new sponsor is the Atlanta Hustle. The Atlanta Hustle is an ultimate Frisbee team, and they are we are involved with them now, and that is the official Frisbee team of Another Duly Noted podcast. Okay, this is that Trey Burton was a big-time recruit for Urban Meyer. I remember when he signed, they said he was they didn't know what he was, to be honest with you. And when he got here, he was kind of a jerk with the media, to be honest with you, and was pretty much through his entire time. So I never warmed up to him. And a lot of people did, and a lot of people would tell you that. That is that we did warm up to him because we saw how valuable he was to the Florida football team. And if you look at his stats, they're not overwhelming. But he did everything. He was a jack of all trades. He did score 6 touchdowns in a game, which is still unbelievable that anybody scores 6 touchdowns, but he did it in a variety of ways. And of course, I'll never forget that game at Vanderbilt, and they wanted to get Jordan Reed some reps at quarterback to see if he could play quarterback at Florida, but he had to have Trey Burton in the backfield to call out the plays and show him where to go and everything. Trey Burton was a very smart player, and then of course what he did in with Philly and with the Bears, had a nice NFL career, and it was part of the Philly special that was, of course, big story, and became a media darling after he didn't like the media earlier. And the other is that he was inducted this week into the State of Florida Hall of Fame. Quite an honor for him. It's big timers that get into that, which is why I continue on my streak of never getting into a Hall of Fame. My goal is to die before I get into a Hall of Fame, I think. No, I don't want to do that. I don't want to die. I just don't want to. I'm hoping I don't get into any of them, just because that says a lot about me. That Dooley doesn't need to get in. He's okay. He's got everything. I don't know what it says about me, to be honest. But my streak is alive. All right. Let us move along. That was this, that, and the other. And again, we appreciate our new sponsor, the Atlanta Hustle. And we will give, they are the team of the Southeast. That's the most Southeast team for that sport. So we'll talk about them as we go forward. Let's get to our Gallo Car Wash Sponge of the Week, brought to you by Gallo Car Wash, our good friends there. It's where we get our cars washed. And Kelsey, I know, is ready to go get hers washed because I think she's just pulling up now, and it looks pretty dirty. So she's going to go to Gallo, and that's the only place to go. Our Sponge of the Week is Jalea Auguste. Of course, she is a very good volleyball player at the University of Florida. And she soaked up some honors this week by being named first team All SEC. Now, that is a big honor. I mean, it's hard to get first team All SEC as good as this league has become. In the old days, it was, Florida would have maybe 2 or 3 on first team All SEC because they were dominating the conference. But everybody's gotten good. Kentucky's gotten good. We all know other teams coming into this league have made it tougher. But to be first team, I was surprised that they had anybody that was, but she's been great all year. So she is our Sponge of the Week. Let us move along to the Gainesville Quarterback Club. And by the way, I wanted to mention this. Saturday, Florida is playing against either Alabama or South Carolina Saturday in the SEC tournament. They actually have an SEC volleyball tournament. Why they waited this long, I don't know. But they have one now. So Florida's playing on Saturday. It'll be around 3 o'clock, and it'll be on SEC Plus, just if you're looking to watch that. Quarterback Club, I can tell you Bob Kessling was unbelievable on Tuesday. I laughed so hard at some of his stories. They were great stories. Some of them had to do with him. Some of them had to do with Coach Spurrier. Some of them had to do with Peyton Manning, Phil Fulmer. There was just a lot of great stories. He actually talked for a long time too. It was great because he had so many good stories to tell, and he was tremendous. It was just another streak of, we have had an unbelievable year of speakers at the Quarterback Club. Our final one will be Judd Davis this Tuesday, and you know he's going to be great. He's always great. And then the following week we'll have the high school honors, and I kind of give a little talk about, well, I guess I won't be able to preview the bowl game, will I? No, I'll talk about something, but I usually give a little talk on that. So that is the Gainesville Quarterback Club, the oldest club in the world. I was thinking about this the other night, how, a lot of these clubs are celebrating anniversaries, and a lot of these clubs were started with Charlie Pell. Charlie Pell came in and goes, we need Gator clubs. He kind of invented, there was already a Gainesville Quarterback Club here a long time before Charlie Pell. And so that's why it's the oldest one in the world and Mars. We're taking Mars over. Okay. Appreciate the Gainesville Quarterback Club. Let's get to the Los Landeros Smooth Move of the Week, brought to you by Los Landeros Tequila. Go beyond with Los Landeros, my favorite tequila, and Urban Meyer's favorite tequila. We had Urban on Monday. That was pretty cool to have both NC National Championship coaches on the same day, and Jeffrey Meldon. Our Los Landeros Smooth Move of the Week was performed by the College Sports Commission, which is, I think we've all looked at this thing, and those of us who follow it closely, and even those of you who don't, they're not going to have any power. They're not going to do anything. Well, they have written this 10-page letter to all the schools that they deal with and said, hey, we want the power to discipline, to penalize. You guys have to give us the power. If we're going to investigate this stuff, we're not going to investigate it and go, this is a problem, but you guys are going to sue us and everything. We don't want to get sued by anybody anymore. So that it's going to be interesting to see if everybody signs off on this, because it's literally like sign this and agree to this, and it'll be interesting to see what that happens. But it's a very smooth move, because otherwise they were toothless and weren't going to go anywhere. We'll see how that all works out. All right. Let us wrap it up with our games of the weekend. We always do this, brought to you by the Swamp Restaurant. Of course, the Swamp Restaurant is the place to go to watch all these games. Great food, great drink specials, great atmosphere, TVs everywhere. Kyle and Ryan will take care of you at the Swamp Restaurant. All right, let's go to Friday night. Florida State is at NC State. I don't have any, this is football, I'm sorry. I don't have any real thoughts that NC State's going to upset them. I'd like to see it, though, and I'll stay with it as long as they have a chance. You know that. It's at 8 o'clock on ESPN. That's a good Friday night game, though. I wish FSU played all its games on Friday night. Like, remember when Miami did way back? Well, you guys don't remember, some of you. But back in the old days, all Miami's home games were at Friday night. I like Friday night games. I know the high schools don't like it, but, I mean, the people who are going to stay home and watch the games are going to watch them anyway. They're not going to go to I'm not going to a high school game. If somebody really asked me and their son was playing, I'd go, yeah. But I'm not going to go. I'd rather watch a college game on TV. That's me. I'm old. All right, let's get our games for the weekend. The best noon game is Missouri at Oklahoma. Now, Missouri, I guess Eli Drinkwitz is kind of auditioning for one of these jobs. That game is on ABC. I can see Missouri going in there and making it interesting. That should be enough. The 3:30 best game, USC at Oregon. Very important game there, especially for Oregon. On CBS, CBS has had so many stinkers this year on TV. I feel bad for Brad Nessler and Gary Danielson. Anyway, that is a good one. That is a good game that I'll be all over. Of course, it's 7:30. Tennessee at Florida is on ABC. You also have BYU at Cincy at 8 on Fox. Not a bad game there. Hoops plays Friday. It's on the Plus. We mentioned that earlier. That game's at 7. The Bucks at the Rams is at 8:30 or 8:15 or at whatever time they play that game. Game on ESPN as well. And there's a lot of good NFL games this weekend. I'm looking forward to the NFL more than I am the college. To be honest with you, the college schedule is not great this week, but it will be great next week. It will be awesome next week. All the rivalry games. That is a funny thing, and this is the last thing I'm going to say before I get out of here. This is another good example of the league screwing Florida on scheduling, in that they want somebody to play on the weekend, the Saturday before all the rivalry games. They don't want everything to be a directional school. So they assign a couple of teams to play it. And Florida, with its unbelievably brutal schedule, gets stuck with a game like that Tennessee, one of its big rivalry games, right before the FSU game. Now, all these other schools, Alabama, playing East Georgia College at Women's College. I don't know, if you want to be paranoid about the SEC and how you think they treat the University of Florida, I get it after what's happened with the scheduling the last couple of years. I can get your paranoia. I'm not going to argue that you're wrong anymore, because it does feel that way. Anyway, like this, when they do this, like in the Sting, they go, okay, no interference call there. All right, that'll do it. Appreciate Zach, as always, doing a great job. Appreciate Billy Horschel for joining us. Also, Chris Masters and Dr. Koo for joining us to talk about prostate health. It's very important, guys. I know you're going, I don't want to hear about prostate. It's important, dudes. Get out there. Get out to the game. Get your blood taken. It's not much. It's really nothing. It just sticks. That's it. It's like a little like acupuncture. All right. We'll be back Monday with Coach Spur. Can't wait for that. Robbie Andrew will be back. In fact, Robbie Andrew's going to double up on the podcast Monday and Wednesday. He's going to be on for Yes, No, Where, Maybe. And we appreciate him. We'll be back on Monday. Until then, for another Duly Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI and Imaging, coming to you from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. I am Pat Dooley. I am deep. I'm way back, and I am out of here.